Alright, what's going on, guys? As you may have noticed over the past few weeks, things have been going a little bit slow in the way of news. And that's primarily due to the fact that we think Elden Ring DLC is going to be at the Game Awards. However, that's not for almost another month. But even though things are a little bit slow right now, we still have quite a bit of small stories to cover that I'm sure all you guys are going to find very interesting. Now, a lot of these are small where they don't deserve an entire video on their own. And so what I like to do a lot of times is take all these small stories and put them in a full recap video so that we can get everybody up to speed on what's going on with the FromSoftware space, which I think a lot of you guys appreciate. So as we get into all this today, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. The channel's getting really close to 70k, and I think if we can hit that before the Game Awards, that's going to be crazy. But you guys are really gonna like this first story today. One of the things I really like about Bandai Namco, who are the publishers for most of the FromSoftware games like the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring, is that they always tend to be very creative with the way they market the games. Like for example what they're doing right now with Elden Ring, putting on a full-scale jazz show called A Night in the Lands Between, starring Kenny Garrett and Takia Kuroda, which will be happening on December 3rd in Hollywood. But what I want to talk about today actually goes all the way back to Dark Souls 3. Some of you may remember back in the time before the game released, there was actually a mobile Souls game that came out for iPhone called Slashy Souls. It was a 2D pixel runner game where you would try to get as far as possible without dying while the screen continually pushed you along the platforms. Now, it wasn't very good, but it was a very interesting and creative form of marketing for the game. However, recently, an NDA that hid potential pitches for Souls-inspired games around the time of Dark Souls 3 expired earlier this week, which revealed something very interesting: that a full-scale 2D pixel art Metroidvania was pitched to Bandai Namco 6 years ago, and we get one look at what this game potentially could have been. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks awesome. Now, this work was done by Thomas Feitmeyer, I hope I pronounced that right, but a full-scale 2D Souls game is something we've never seen before. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with some of the more popular Metroidvanias, like Hollow Knight and Blasphemous, which Thomas also worked on, but to actually have one in the Dark Souls 3 setting I think would be crazy. And I really can't think of a good reason of why this game was rejected. He did make it clear that FromSoftware themselves likely would not have been involved, since Bandai Namco actively owns the Dark Souls IP, but it's still really cool to think about. If this was likely meant to be a sort of marketing piece, I can definitely see them favoring Slashy Souls simply for the budget, but without a doubt this Metroidvania would have been a much better experience for the players. It makes me think if we're ever actually going to see a 2D Souls game in the future, because if you guys remember a few months ago, Miyazaki did say that we're going to be seeing a very different color of FromSoftware going forward, and I wonder if that means we're going to see something other than 3D Souls games. FromSoftware has really only stepped outside of the box in that regard one time before with Datamine, and personally I would like to see him try it again. Now, this next one we actually talked about on stream, but I want to cover it in a video format as well, since there is a lot of misinformation going around, and it's pretty important to the whole DLC conversation. But you guys may have already heard about this. We've been covering a lot of the data mining scene, especially in regards to the DLC files found in the files of patch 1.07, but a big breakthrough was actually found by Sekiro Dubi, where he discovered that up to 30 boss parameters are inside the files, which were added with 1.07. And here's where the misinformation kind of starts. That does not mean that we are going to have 30 bosses in the DLC. That simply means that there is room for up to 30 now. They can go into the files at any time and add as many or take away as many as they want. Think of it as kind of just making space for what they're going to add in the future. Now, the idea of a DLC containing 30 bosses is definitely enough to get me excited, and if we consider that these may include mini bosses like the ulcerated tree spirits, tree sentinels, and Knight's Cavalry and such, then it probably does sound about on par with what we can expect. So here's where we kind of stand in what we know for a fact is going to be in the first DLC, at least according to the data mines. We have the 3 Colosseums, which are believed to be PvP arenas, several new player hairstyles, new unspecified weapon types, one new map which is likely associated with a legacy dungeon, and then another map which could be a new biome. And of course, all of that is subject to change. So if we go by that, 30 does sound like a good number. And that's why I'm kind of thinking that the first DLC of this game is going to be an Ashes of Ariandel type, where it's not absolutely huge, but enough to kind of reignite the fire for the game. And with the introduction of the PvP arenas, we can definitely see that they're going to have a multiplayer focus, which is reinforced by the fact that they added PvP only scaling. And that makes a great tool to tide us over until a potential second DLC, which we don't have evidence for, but I think is definitely a possibility. Up next, we're going to talk about a PSA for you guys. Now, this is a lesson that if you've been around the Souls community for a while, you'll probably learn at one point or another, especially for you guys on PC out there. But there are more hacks going around where people are getting you banned through false items that they're dropping through invasions or co-op. Now, y'all might remember back when Elden Ring first came out, there was a big problem in players exchanging the item, the Deathbed Smalls, which were cut, resulting in players that received them getting banned. Now, sort of the same thing is happening again, but a little bit different. And you guys that are more familiar with the code than I am can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it seems that now if you receive an item that is not loaded in your game, the item will actually have an error as the title. And I'm not sure about a time limit, but if you have this item in your inventory, you will get banned. Don't keep it. I don't know why particularly, but it seems to be a big problem now. And the item of choice that's being seen the most commonly appears to be the Braves Cord Circlet, which, like the Deathbed Smalls, is actually cut content. It's part of the Braves leather set, which I have a sneaking suspicion we're gonna see come in DLC, because I believe they're tied to the Coliseum. So if you come across any of the Braves set, even if it doesn't have error in the title, drop it immediately. Now, as far as I know, this is mainly happening on the PC servers. If you're on Xbox or PlayStation, you should be alright, but it should be habit by now if you played Dark Souls in the past to just not pick up dropped items ever, because all it takes is picking up a hacked item one time and then your account's gone. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that real quick and we'll move on. Now it seems like we'll finally have some closure on everything that's been going on with the Dark Souls servers. However, now it appears like all Dark Souls servers are now back online, and they've been coming in waves. I'm sure you guys noticed. The most recent one to be restored was Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin on PC. I know a lot of people were excited about that one. For all the negative talk that Dark Souls 2 gets, it has some of the best multiplayer in the series, especially the PvP. I think I'm gonna hop back on there, take another journey through Drangleic. Honestly, I love playing through Dark Souls 2. But the good news of Dark Souls 2 coming back online was also met with some bad news that the Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition PC servers are indefinitely being shut down, which really sucks because a lot of the most popular mods for that game were on Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, not the remastered. The remastered servers are still online, but hopefully this means an ultimate end to all the problems they've been having trying to get these servers back up and running. Now, I know some of those problems were due to the RCE exploit that was found. However, the extent of other problems that were going on, we really don't know the full scale. It would be interesting to see kind of under the hood all the problems that they fixed during this time, and if we do ever hear about that, I will let you guys know. But that's pretty much everything that's been happening over the past few weeks. Like I said, a lot of these stories are small enough on their own to where they don't warrant an entire video. Trust me guys, I know how much y'all are wanting the DLC news, but I've told you everything I know. I thought we would have more by now, and I do think it is pretty strange that we haven't heard more, but the Game Awards are coming up, and what we need to keep our eye on now are insiders who are hinting that the DLC is going to be there, and if any of them talk, I will be the first to let you guys know. Now, regardless of if we hear any leaks before then, I will be streaming the Game Awards on December 8th right here on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to tune in for that. On another note though, I have recently started a Twitch, twitch.tv/Zio Streams. Over there we're going to be playing everything except Elden Ring. We've been grinding the new Modern Warfare 2, and I'm going to be playing the new Pokemon game on Friday, so y'all go drop a follow if that's something you're interested in. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new around here. Let me know if you like these sort of smaller news videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.